to do is I want to give back. This is my opinion, and it should be yours, but it's not necessarily that it has to be. So it's just another person's opinion. And really, this type of scenario is really, what would you think? What would you do? How do you react? An objection maybe, or a scenario, a client process, anything. It's open to interpretation. And I want to be a resource for people to be able to share and use. Everyone can see this piece of paper, I take it? All right, so, this is not recorded. It's not recorded on purpose. Oh, David, you are recording this one, aren't you?
I am doing the experiment. I'm actually forwarding this now to Facebook Live to the life insurance discussion group. The only thing is that no images are going through. Maybe it's a setting in the OBS studio. I don't know. This is a pure experiment. We're just giving it a shot, but no images are going through. But the audio is. So we'll see what happens with it.
All right. So it's being broadcast right now as people, if they want to pop in.
Exactly.
All right.
And since I'm doing it, that means the whole page has probably gotten some alert that says, "Hey, look here." So.
Yeah. All right. So my whole job when I meet with a client, my job is to help them understand the implications of the choices they've already made, and help them understand the options of what choices are available if they so choose to participate. The first thing I want to do is I want to help people understand what they've already done. And a lot of people don't get this. So I'm going to give you the scenario of how this conversation actually came to be. And it has obviously been expanded upon over the last several years. But I was dealing with a couple that was so proud of the fact they didn't owe anything. Their cars were paid for, their home was paid for, they didn't have any debt. And I was trying to be polite to the couple. They were in their 70s. And I said, we have to really be careful, because some of the things that we consider an asset have an ungodly amount of debt built into it. I was interrupted and I was told, "Tom, we don't have any debt. You're not listening." I said, "Okay. All right." Now I did that because I wanted this to be a profound aha hit on the side of the head. Oh my God, I never looked at it this way. That's the impact that I want to bring to this potential problem. So I asked this couple, I said, "How much do you have in your IRA?" And she said, $2 million. Now her husband, who was a brain surgeon, I think he was a heart surgeon, was standing next to her, and she was answering the questions for him. So I kind of figured out who actually made most of the buying decisions in the family. But I said, $2 million. She said, $2 million. Now I looked at her and I was trying to be polite here. I said, "Do you realize if something happened to your husband today, you're going to owe about $800,000 in federal income taxes?" And she said, "What?" And I said, I was trying to be polite at the beginning. When we talk about debt and people being so proud of the fact they're debt free, and every decision they make financially is to be debt free. I don't want any car payments. I don't want any house payments yet. I'm building an account. I don't even know what the heck I owe. And she looked at her husband and she said, "Charlie, did you know that we owed $800,000 to the IRS?" And he said, "No one has ever explained it to me that way." And I smiled and I said, "Let's talk about what you actually have done here. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. How much money have you put into your IRA?" And here's the average answer: "I don't know." And the reason is because the government does not give you any incentive to keep track of anything you put into a qualified retirement plan, because it doesn't matter. In almost the 50 years that I've been doing this, I've had only a couple of clients where they've said, "Tom, I've got every tax return in the basement. You want me to go calculate how much I put in?" And I said, "No, that's not necessary. Let me ask you a couple of simple questions. Has your money doubled over your lifetime?" Now look, at 35,000 Dow, it's a real good opportunity that probably someone in their 60s or 70s, their money has tripled. I caution you, the more that it doubles and doubles and doubles, they're going to commit suicide. Don't let them do that. Just let them be happy with either a doubling or a tripling of their money, because watch what happens. If their money has tripled, in this example, then this person put in roughly $700,000. Now, here's the real important question. What was your average tax bracket in all of the years that you've been contributing to this plan? Now, I know you're killing it now, but what was your average tax bracket? To be today in a 24% tax bracket, you need to make 320 grand. And I doubt you graduated medical school making 320 grand. So average all of the tax brackets that you think you've been in. Let's assume it's 25%. So 25% of 700 is $175,000. This is the amount of money you've saved. Now, this is my biggest pet peeve. Our industry is allowed to tell this client, you saved $175,000. No, you didn't. You postponed the worst tax in the tax code. Let's take a look at what happens now. And I use the example, if I had a magical wand, that in 24 hours, I put you in crypto, and it went from 2 million to 4 million. You'd probably thank your financial advisor because he or she did really well. You doubled your money. Let's take a look at what the IRS is going to get. Now, if you doubled your money, I love this question when I ask someone, what is the cash surrender value of your current 401k plan? You know, they love to ask that on the life insurance side. What's the cash surrender value? Well, let's talk about what's the cash surrender value of the plan you're already using. And let's be careful here, because the cash surrender value means if you're not 59 and a half, you have to quit. That's the penalty. You have to quit. And when 401k plans first started, I remember working with the guy was a top 50 in a huge insurance company. He had to quit because his production was so low, he had to get his money out of his 401k plan. And the only way to do it is to quit. That's the penalty. So if you've got 4 million, the current tax on that with one check, and granted, no one would ever surrender an IRA in one check, except your 18-year-old son who is looking at a speedboat and a Corvette that will give a crap how much he has to pay. What's he or she going to get?
And they're unforgivable student loans.
Yes. So at a 37% tax bracket, what's a third of 4 million? 1.3 million. So let's take a look at what the IRS does. You net 2.7 million. Your 700,000 grew to 2.7, and the IRS is basically going to tell you, shut up, go home, you done did good. What is this, about a 4-to-1? Let's take a look at what the IRS gets, shall we? They loan you 175 and you owe them 1.3 million. What is that, an 8-to-1? I want to be the IRS. I'll lend you 175 and you pay me back 1.3. And here's what you'll hear. Well, I'm not going to take one lump sum. I'm going to take it out over the rest of my life. Good, then that becomes 2.3 million. Remember, people are convinced rate of return is the answer to financial freedom. And I completely disagree. You know what the answer to financial freedom is? Learn what the rules are, period. Learn what the rules are, because every time your money doubles, the IRS makes more than you. And by the way, an actuary who was employed by the Internal Revenue Service put this plan together. And it wasn't to benefit the rich. It was to hurt the rich and benefit the poor. Well, I don't want to be poor. Been there, done that. It ain't no fun. So if I want to understand how wealth works, think back to the doctor couple. So proud of the fact everything they own is paid for. Yet they have $2 million in an account. They don't even know what the debt is. And yet our industry is allowed to say, look, you want to be debt-free, pay your house off. That's the dumbest thing you can do if you're looking for a deduction. Life insurance is probably one of the most flexible financial solutions to financial independence in the tax code. I'm going to pay taxes once. When I earn it, I'm going to pay the tax on it, and then I'm going to put it into a process where I can collateralize it for the rest of my life, never spending my own money, living on somebody else's, and owing zero tax for the rest of my life. If people understood how an IRA negatively affects them and positively affects the IRS, probably they won't continue to pay. And I want to end with one last thought. The financial advisor is charging a fee on the $1.3 million that does not belong to the client. The IRS is going to lend you money. You're going to pay all the commissions, the fees, the asset management charges, the 12B1s, all of it. And then I'm going to sit here with a handout. The minute you try to spend it, I get paid first. And I'm not saying 401k plans are bad, because I have clients that are so convinced the need today is the deduction. I have to have the deduction. I don't understand it, but there are people that say, I got to have the deduction today, ignorant of, we're a nation of procrastinators. If I can push what I owe later, I'll deal with it later. Okay, good. You saved 175 to pay 1.3 million. There you go. There you go. That's a success story that isn't yours. It was a success story for the people that loaned you the money, not you. And the financial advisor is charging the fee on that, not that. There is no incentive for a true financial advisor to share with you how to spend your money. They're really good at saving money because your retirement plan is better suited as mine. It's called assets under management, AUM. The more AUMs I have, the more money I make. Oh, that's right. The client's involved here. I forgot. See, because we structure our fees different so that when you do better, we do better. And one last thing, when you lose 30%, we still do really well. We do really well. All right, open the conversation. Should I leave this up? Any questions on this, or can I break this? All right, what are your thoughts? David, welcome. What do you think?
Very interesting. Never looked at things like that. I'm actually new into this, but I'll tell you what, that's a real eye opener right there. That is, to me, that's unbelievable. That's a shame too.
And every client I've had has had a desire to succeed. I've never had a client that said, make sure I retire broke or financially fail. Yet that's the only way you can win in a qualified plan, is to have some sort of financial devastation. So you're in a lower bracket. One of the guys in our group says, you want to try this? Try living in a lower tax bracket today. Just try it out. Just cut 30% out of your pay and see how well you're going to do. That's what government statistics say. You only need 70% to remain in the world you've been accustomed to. I have never had a client that said, I want to be average. Never. And the reason why they hire us is because they want to be above average. Well, then we need to understand the implications of being above average. It's not what we're taught. Having money in the right spot is more important than what it earns. This is, it's interesting. Fidelity is the first broker that is going to allow crypto in a 401k plan. And now the Department of Labor is starting to complain, wait a minute, whoa, that's too volatile an asset. Well, think about it. If something goes up 1,600% in 2 years, the IRS is going to make more than you. And they will all the time. I don't know why they're not saying, if the more volatile, here, let me rephrase. The more potential for explosive growth in an asset you're buying, the more it should not be in an IRA. Let me say that again. If you're going to buy something that has unbelievable potential, you want to pay a 37% tax or a 20% tax? That's just math. You put it in an IRA, you're going to pay 37 or 39 in 2 years. 3 years, I think. What is it, 2026, David?
Yeah,
When Trump's tax code is blown up?
sunsets at the end of 2025. Yep.
25. Yeah. So we're all going to go to higher tax brackets. Welcome to the United States of America. The more you make, the more we make. Oh, you thought this was for you. I'm sorry. Look, I'm on a mission. I really am. I think our industry has been allowed to tell half the story for too long. I'm writing a book right now, The Right Questions to Ask of Your Financial Professional, whether it's your advisor, your banker, your mortgage dude, your attorney, your CPA, doesn't matter. Ask the right questions and don't let them hide behind, I'm a fiduciary. I'm not allowed to talk to you about that. Bull crap. Yes, you are. You should. Which is why, by the way, I gave up my registration 3 years ago because I wasn't allowed to talk about taxes, even though I had to pay several 100,000 of them every year. See, if the number one reason why people with wealth retire with less is because of taxes, then don't you think we have a fiduciary responsibility to our client to tell them the impact that taxes are going to have? I'm not a CPA. That's their job. I'm just going to take assets under management and charge you a fee. And I'm telling you, I think we have gone too long being allowed to hide behind that message without being held accountable to the implications of the recommendations we make for clients. Which is why several years ago, I got out of the recommending business. I don't make recommendations anymore. I don't make suggestions. I don't do spreadsheets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how wealth works. And if you like it, I'm licensed to help you. If you don't like it, I don't care. See you later. Goodbye. I got to find someone who does. There's 335 million people in this country. How many do you think would want to learn how to not have to file a tax return? 200 million of them, 250 million of them. I think we're all going to be busy if we really think about it. Okay. Mike Moffat, are you on?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
What are your thoughts?
I agree 100%. Absolutely, you're spot on.
Burhan, how about you, sir? I'm sure I just bastardized that name. Jason, are you? Oh, there you
Yeah.
are.
Oh, I agree. I think at the end of the day, the part that I don't agree with is the idea of not regarding what you said, but as far as when a portfolio is underperforming, not just this benchmark, but just underperforming in general, is losing total value, and yet the advisors are still collecting a fee on that. That's the part that's sort of like, I just don't, a part of me just can't agree with it. You know what I mean? Like, why are you going to be collecting a fee when the value of my portfolio is losing? So you're essentially collecting a fee to just hold my investments.
But we do repositioning. We take a look at, and we're forward thinking. So we take a look at your portfolio and we anticipate what's going to fall. I mean, what's going to appreciate it. We try to get you out of what's going to fall and what's going to put you in. See, we do our homework. Yeah. What a crime.
Yeah.
What a crime.
It is crazy. On the other hand, there is opportunities to be made, in equities and et cetera, but it's, especially when, like, I'll use an example. I have a client right now, and he has an IRA worth 400 something thousand, and he transferred it to the AUM right when the market was at its all-time high, right before it started teetering. So now he's down, I think 50K, and it's his only liquid asset. Everything else he has is his Social Security, his home is paid off, and he has 2 FIAs. So his only thing that's most liquid that he was hoping that would actually outperform inflation is not only underperforming inflation, it's underperforming just the dollar in general. Like, it's losing its total value. So how does that make somebody feel that's already retired, right? So is there a more efficient strategy for that kind of situation? Of course, but advisors, this is where it kind of makes a person question: is it in their best? Are they really thinking in the client's best interest? Another number that I had ran is a $500,000 portfolio collecting 1% fee over a 30-year window. The total amount of fees that the advisor would collect just on 1% is about $100,000.
Yeah. Now, what appreciation rate did you factor?
What I did is I purposely made it where this portfolio is it's in distribution stages. So in a 30-year window,
what growth are you giving the underlying asset?
Oh, really
4%?
short. It's 4, yeah. But the thing is, if it's even at 4%, but let's just say it was a Monte Carlo simulation of the 60/40, and it's meant for distribution. Right now, because of long-term low inflation rate, I think the healthy distribution for that kind of portfolio would be 2.7% to make sure that the client doesn't run out of income. Again, that's a 30-year window. So if they're spending down that portfolio over 30 years, yeah, it's about $100,000 worth of fees.
These are always more cash flow to a broker than the commission, which is why some brokers are now, we're fiduciaries, and we're going to just charge a fee. It's more money than a commission. It'll always work out that way. But here's an interesting statistic. I'm going to turn on my camera again here. Again, you guys are asking my opinion, even though you don't want it. This is my show. You're going to get it. All right. So you meet John Q. customer who puts aside $1 million, and it took him, by the way, 45 years to accumulate that. And you got him as a new client, and you're going to charge 1.5% asset management fee. All right. Now, I'm a new broker, brand new. I'm a registered rep, series 663, 65, 7, 21, 20, 16, 83, 54, hike. Right? I got all the stuff. And I find 3 people in 30 days that can give me $1 million. And I was able to do this in 30 days. A broker who's been in the business 30 days can retire with more cash flow than someone who took 45 years to get it. Because this is 3.5%, which is higher than the safe withdrawal rate on $1 million. I get to retire on 3.5 by just finding 3 people who have the exact same amount of money, and I can retire instantly on the income greater than what they're safely going to be able to withdraw. And if we look at it this way, if the safe withdrawal rate is 3 and I'm taking out 1.5, I'm guaranteeing you pretty much to run out of money. I'm not Brian, I don't know if you subscribe to my newsletter, but in this month's newsletter, we talk about, is it Bergen or Benjen who put the safe withdrawal rate formula back in the 70s? He's recommending that it be lowered.
It's because
than the 2.7. And I tend to agree, and it's because of the volatility of the market that allows that small number. Because if we have a 30% drop in the market from one month to the next, I have to pull out 1.5 times as many shares from the previous month to net the same cash flow for that month. The year and the month you retire is more important than how much money you have. If I had 365 clients and I was able to, and the stock market was open every day, and it isn't, there's only 200 days that it's open. So I have 200 clients, and I buy an indexed anything, and I put them all in the S&P 500 index. And I look at everyone's 1-year number. So the guy who bought it on January 1st, I'm going to look at his number on January 1st of the following year. March 31st of the following year. Not one client is going to have the exact same amount of money. I bought the same index. 200 people bought the same index. Yet none of them are going to have the same amount of money. That's what's wrong with our industry. Because I'm allowed to sell average, not actual, average. And if I was to tell you today, I'll put this in writing, I guarantee you a 25% average rate of return for the next 4 years. Chances are you'd hire me in a heartbeat And you'd probably give me a pretty good fee. So let's do the math. First year, I'm good. I double your money. Second year, you lose 50%. Third year, I double your money. Fourth year, I lose 50%. Your average rate of return was 25% per year. Your actual, zero. And fund companies are allowed to share with you their average rate of return. Well, give me the actual rate of return. The reason why I love life insurance as a distribution vehicle over anything else in the tax code is because I can never touch my money. I'm never withdrawing my money when I use a whole life dividend paying contract. When I'm borrowing against the cash value, I'm using the insurance company's money, but they're guaranteeing the growth of the asset they've loaned against. My money is guaranteed to be worth more. So in theory, I should be able to pull out the 2.7 and some of the guarantee appreciation the company is giving me each and every year. That's why insurance company distributions are anywhere from 4 to 8% on the getting off the mountain conversation, because we're not surrendering principal like you have to in the safe withdrawal rate analysis, where the stock market fluctuation dictates how long you'll get to spend money. Any other comments?
I had a question. So from a distribution approach, like climbing down the mountain, so due to volatility and low interest rate environment that we're probably going to be in for a long period of time, if the distribution from a portfolio is typically like 2.75% at the moment, from a whole life insurance policy, what would be the distribution during retirement years? Can that be 5%? Can it be more than the 2.7?
It could be a lot more than 2.7. We're looking at anywhere from 5 to 8.
Without running out of income?
Nope, we run the income to life expectancy plus 5 years.
That's awesome.
With no lapse guarantees. So even though I have maximum loan to contract, it'll never blow up. There's no more money in it, but I'm spending basically everything. Which, if you look at the Monte Carlo theory, I'm only guaranteeing $1 left after 30 years. I'm not even guaranteeing the principal. The Monte Carlo is, you'll have $1 left. What is the statistical chance at 85% or greater that I'm going to have at least $1? Meaning I've spent all my principal. So when you look at the same analysis, when you look at the death benefit, the legacy portion of using life insurance on the distribution side, there's always a death benefit above and beyond paying the loan off. So I get to live on all the money, never file tax returns. I don't have to offset Social Security. My Medicare premium isn't affected, no state income taxes, and a death benefit is paid to my family free of everything. I mean, when you think about it, it's tax-exempt accumulation, tax-exempt distribution, and income tax-exempt transfer to my family. Hello? I think I could stand on a street corner and sell that crap. Nobody has to have a degree to understand the importance of that, yet we don't even talk about that. And most life insurance policies today barely break even in 10 years because it's not about rate of return. It's how much can I spend? But we got the people who are out there with a compounding calculator, and they say, look, you could have done better in a mattress. Yes, you could have. But spend the money in your mattress for me, would you? Let me see what that would look like. Guaranteed to run out of money. Where your money is so much more important than what it could earn. DJ, good afternoon. Welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, Tom. Checking in from Alaska. I'm still, when I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm still on the fence between using whole life dividend paying versus structured IULs that are, as long as it's done correctly with those Monte Carlos.
And Tom goes.
I will never sell an IUL contract. And if a client wants to buy it, I'll go, good, go across the street. I will not sell one. I won't let you buy one. Now, if you want to buy one, it's not going to be because you're my client. You're going to be a friend. Let's go play golf. Just don't ask me how I bought my crap. You're not going to understand. I cannot borrow against an asset that the head eats the tail. Why I use dividend paying whole life is because the premium and mortality, fees, and expenses stop after 10 years. Completely stop. And now I've got a guaranteed growth. I don't have a floor of 0. I have a guaranteed growth plus a potential for dividend. Now, IUL looks pretty, but so does your 401k. Doubling your 401k looks pretty, not when you go to try to spend it. Now, you talk to the IUL people, and they can convince you that it is the best thing since sliced bread. Okay. I'm not going to argue. A properly structured, overfunded anything is going to do better than an underfunded anything. I get that. But if I want the absolute best so that I've got a guaranteed growth and no premiums, no offsets, no fees, no hole in the floor, that I got to pay these mortality charges every month, I can't use an IUL. To me, an IUL is an accumulation contract, not a distribution contract. Okay, and I'm gonna show you this, and I hope I can blow it up. Kendra, you know what I'm looking for.
I have many talents, but reading your mind is not where I really want to go.
That should be one of the easiest. I'm looking for my sequence of returns calculation. Do you have that chart?
Well, if I don't have that one, I know I've got others.
The S&P sequence of returns? Well, here's the point. The S&P over the 20-year period averaged 5.49% over the period that we looked at when we did our analysis. 5.49. And on the accumulation side, the years that you lost 26 or gained 33 is irrelevant. Doesn't matter. So what we did is we took the S&P 500, the average return, and we simply reversed it. So that at the same 20-year period of time, I got the 5.49% average rate of return. On one, where I started off with 3 years of positives, I pretty much had the same amount of money after 20 years. When I reversed it and I had 2 years of negatives, I ran out of money in the 14th year. I bought the same index with the same average return. It's the year that the negative hit that affects how long I'm going to live. I don't want to play that game when I retire. I don't want to let that happen. Kendra, I thought you had that.
I've got an overly complicated Mass Mutual version.
Oh, shoot, no.
But no, I don't have the one that you created.
I'm going to have to eliminate it again because I don't know what the hell I did with it. Poop. Does that make sense, DJ?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense about how there being an accumulation product versus distribution product for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, Tom?
I was going to say the other aspect is that we have increasing costs of insurance unless there's a way to manage it. And I know that you have a declining net amount at risk, but the nice thing about a limited pay whole life is that the cost of insurance stops.
And remember, the IRS mandates that once the cash value reaches a certain percentage of the death benefit, they both must rise at tandem, meaning you will always have a mortality charge. I don't have a mortality charge on whole life. Might affect my dividend, but my cash value is not affected. Zale.
So this is something I've been studying and mulling over. So on the IUL, when it collapses, so let's say that they're lerping it and they drain everything out of it and it collapses. What's the tax hit on that? Isn't that calculated basically like, I don't know, an annuity, an investment contract? How's that done?
It's ordinary income if they have taken out more than the premiums that have been paid in, less waiver of premium. You don't get your waiver of premium as a cost basis. So if your premium is $10,000 a year and you put it in for 10 years, that's $100,000, and you've taken out over your lifetime $200,000 and the policy lapses, you owe income taxes on $100,000.
And that's in 1 year, right?
That's in the year that it collapsed.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I can share a real quick story. So I have one of my carriers that's let me take over some orphan files. they've got a fair number of ULs out there that are older. And so I've got folks getting letters that say, if you continue to pay at this rate, your policy is going to last till, 75, 76 years old. So if they're going to die, if they're planning on dying at 74, they're in good shape. But beyond that, they're scratching their head. And so some agent that's, long gone, I get to answer the question of, this is what you bought. And, it's something like long-term term. It's not whole life. There was a reason why that whole life costed more and you chose something different. So they get it, but man, that's a hard conversation.
It sucks. Zale, remember the history of life insurance. There was no whole life when insurance was started. It was all term. All of it was term. And the reason why whole life was invented is because as people were getting older, they're going, can't we just average out what these would have been discounted for the income that you could be earning on my money if I paid it early? And the insurance companies go, wow, let's call that the non-forfeiture benefit. Thus, whole life was born. And then, I can get better than 14% on a 6-month CD. My 8% dividend sucks. I'm going to surrender my dividend. I'm going to buy universal life because Life in Virginia was illustrating 14% for 90 years. I'm sorry, you're a trillionaire at 14% for 90 years. Who wouldn't buy that? But the problem was the insurance company took all of the risk that was associated with whole life where they owned it all. They owned the death benefit risk, the mortality risk. They owned the investment risk. And they said, screw you, American idiot. You get to own it all. You have to now watch your eyes and dot your I's and cross your T's, because if it blows up, I don't care. I've had fees all of your life up to and including the day before you die. And if it lapses the day before you die, I owe you nothing. So it's amazing how people, again, what's happening in the market today, when you see all of this consistent drop and the level of, not enthusiasm, but the level of complacency, and now how it's just right out the window. Now people are beginning to panic. Well, these are the same people that 3 weeks ago were telling me the market will never fall. The market's just going to go straight. It's going to hit 50. And we as advisors allow our clients to think like that. That's what's wrong. That's what we are doing wrong in our industry. I remember coming back from a trip to Indianapolis when I lived in Dayton on October, I don't remember the date, 1981 or whatever, when the stock market fell 500 points on the 2100 Dow. And for some reason, they had a news broadcaster on the front lawn of the White House. And they said, hey, the market dropped 25% today. Let's go see Billy Bob. He's our anchor, and he's at the White House. And the words that came out of his mouth today still resonate so impactfully in my life. You all need to call your investment advisor. They are paid to take the emotion out of the equation. I love that response, because we as an industry have been allowing our clients to dictate to us through their insinuation of what's going to happen in the market. And we just play, okay, here, I'm licensed to sell that. Let's go buy it. No, let's take the emotion and make it the conversation point. When the market is up, you should be selling. When the market's down, you should be buying. What are you doing with your money? The exact opposite. And then you wonder why you don't get to be like Warren Buffett. You know, the tech bubble, when the market was up in 2000 and the techs were up 1,000%, he wasn't in tech. And he said, I just don't think it's going to sustain. Mark Cuban is now talking about what's going on in crypto. And what he thinks is going to happen. I don't really have much respect for Mark, but kind of a successful guy. But when you think about it, I guess it could be said that Warren Buffett is a true contrarian investor. If you're buying, he's selling. He's going to give you all you want. You want to sell it because you're panicking? Okay, I'm going to buy. One of the most fascinating articles I ever read when I was growing up as a financial advisor was Alan Abelson, who was the editor of Barron's Magazine. And if you remember the old Barron's Magazine, I mean, it was a book when it came out, and he always had an editorial on the front page. He said, here's what's wrong with the stock market today. People are selling shares of a given company, convinced that the value tomorrow will be less than what its value is today, and is therefore putting their shares of stock up for sale. The problem is the person that is buying that exact same stock is just as equally convinced that they're buying it so that it'll be worth more tomorrow than it is today. Nobody knows what the hell is going on. Nobody will know. It truly is worse than going to Vegas. At least Vegas, you have a statistical chance. You really don't have, look, the money is made on Wall Street, in Wall Street, downtown. That's where the money is. You get a crumb. So I always use the analogy of going to the MGM Grand and listening to those 2,500 slot machines. And in the 14th football field down yonder, you hear ding, 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 ding. Oh my God, somebody won. And you keep dumping quarters. Or what's worse, you're going to run to that side of the casino, sit right next to that person and dump quarters in. And then you know what you hear? Back where you were, ding, 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 ding. They'll tease you by we gave $1 million to Bertha, and she lives in Bumshitsville, South Korea. Who gives it? All it is to just keep people sitting in a chair. Our job as a financial coach is to really not only take the emotion out of the equation, but help people understand what they're doing. You really want to sell a lot of anything? Help people understand what they're already doing. And then helping them understand what they want to do cannot be accomplished with what they've done. Let me say that again. Where someone wants to go cannot be accomplished with what it took to get them to where they are. I want to pay less income taxes. So says the person with $4 million in a qualified retirement plan. You blew that chance long ago. You're at the top of the food chain and will be for life. You bought this one. But if I could help you at the age of 20, understand the most stupid recommendation you could make by a radio host who lives in the city where I live, you should be putting all of your money into a qualified retirement plan. Maximize your 401k plan in a 0% tax bracket. There you go, moron. So that when I retire, I owe 30. That makes no sense at all. But I'm not licensed. I can't be held responsible for anything I tell you. I have authoritative immunity because I'm an author, and therefore, screw you. I believe.
Based on that guy near you, you apparently don't really need anything to be considered a financial guru.
No, and he's a good marketer. I have no respect for the person. That's all. I think he's doing more harm to our industry than what he thinks. And there's nothing wrong with having your home owned. There is nothing, so, and I know this is live somewhere, there is nothing wrong with owning your home, ever. But if you think you're going to pay your house off because of the interest you think you're going to save, that's where the problem is. And this is the same guy who wrote a chapter in his book, How to Get 12% in a Mutual Fund. I don't know how to get 12% in a mutual fund, and I sold them for 42 years. I could get it once in a while. 2 years in a row, highly improbable. 3 years in a row, never. But I can write a book. All right, what else? Open mic. Want to ask a question? Yes.
Yeah, if I might chime, it's kind of easier to talk verbally. There's a place that they constantly are showing illustrations, and the clients, it ends up going down the woods, and the clients get even more confused by it. So I'm really encouraged to hear that you guys don't even do that, because several clients that came and they ended up getting it, more than half of them, as for me, they didn't even have to see the illustration. They just need to get the concept.
If I drew a circle and asked you how much of your pie, if this was a pie, how much of your pie would you want to have that would never be subject to an income tax return?
100%.
Well, then that's life insurance. Thank you. Here, sign me up.
That's
I mean,
good.
literally, it's that simple. Now we will go into much greater depth, yes. But if that's what you want, It's available, and the IRS will allow everyone to do this. Some won't because their accountant didn't tell them, so therefore it can't be very good. Okay, way to go. Your accountant is the one who put $4 million of your money in an IRA, and then your accountant is going to have the yahoos to tell you, don't touch that money. Oh my God, take advantage of deferring it to age 75. Woo-hoo, you're lucky. So you build something you can't use. There's only one asset in the Internal Revenue's tax code that you cannot collateralize, borrow against, to do anything else with that money. And that's where you have all yours. That makes no sense. You can collateralize your children, for God's sake. You cannot collateralize a qualified retirement plan. I think the IRS knows more about the game that you're playing than you do. I love this quote: the more you know, the less tax you're going to owe. Whether you buy from me or not, the more you're going to know about what you're doing, the less income tax you owe. I promise you that. But I also promise you this: you keep your head in the sand and you're going to owe more than you should. The less you know, the more you're going to owe. So the real question is, do you want to learn the rules of the game so you can play it better, or do you just want to keep winging it? Because I can't help people that want to wing it. I feel sorry for you. I sympathize with you, but I cannot help you. Alfred, thanks for popping in, man. DJ, I love your adulting done right. My daughter, who was almost 30, hates adulting. She says, I wish I was 14 again. I hate this crap about having to make a mortgage payment or having to make a car payment or having to, pay the utility bill. And yeah, I agree. I mean, God, college was such a wonderful life. The hardest thing you had to do was worry about your test. I mean, what I'd give just to have that problem again. All right, so I got 10 minutes left. Here's my 2 bits of selling. For those of you who are not subscribing to the newsletter, David is going to put up the link. It's $12.95 a month. Let me tell you what we do here at the Breakaway League on the Tough Love newsletter. I'm going to take a current event, which you could probably feel free to give me an idea or a comment or an objection or whatever, an issue. I'd be glad to write on it. I'll give you the credit. We take a current event. The next section is going to be what we need to know about that current event. And then I'm going to help you understand what our customers and prospects need to know about that current event. And then I'm going to spend a little bit of time ranting about why I believe what I believe. And then I'm going to finish with conversation starters on ways that you can become a person of interest by taking that current event and bringing it to your customer so that people will want to know more about how permanent life insurance works. $12.95 a month, and that's how you subscribe. And the second thing I want to do is I want to offer, we only have 650 tickets to this Nashville event. It's going to be the Professionals Forum Elevated Educational Experience. We're going to have the following speakers. It is David McKnight, Van Miller, Jim Ruda, Tom Hagna, myself, Mary Jo Ehrman, and Cody Askins. Now we're also going to have probably 7 guest speakers that are going to be doing TED Talk equivalents. They're going to get on stage and talk for about 17, 18 minutes about prospecting. And I've told the guest speakers, no selling of CDs or DVDs or books on stage. You can do that by renting a booth, and I don't have a problem with that. But on stage, I want to help the 650 people who are here to pay and listen to us. What made you successful that Billy Bob over here or Sally Jane over here has never done? And maybe it's marketing, maybe it's a slant, maybe it's a different conversation. I'm going to be talking about the explanation of services. How do you answer the question, what do you do for a living? So that in the first 15 seconds, you can identify someone who believes as you do. And I want to set the stage for all of the other speakers that are going to be coming after me. So it's right now, I think it's $750 for early bird registration. The website is not up yet. We can't even register yet, but it's going to be for 2.5 days. Wednesday night, we're going to have a cocktail reception for the guest speakers and the sponsors. And I have 150 VIP tickets. So you're going to be able to hobnob with the presenters and the sponsors without 600 people standing around them. And then it starts at 8 o'clock on Thursday morning, finishes at 4 o'clock. Dinner is on your own. And then we have Friday that night, Thursday night, we've got a surprise. Yes, we're in Nashville. So it's going to be some pretty interesting people who are going to be doing the entertainment on Thursday night. And then Friday, we're done at 4 o'clock. So if you're interested in doing that, if you would do me a favor, just if you want to send me a private message here, or if you want to just send me an email at info@thebreakawayleague.com, we will make sure you get an invitation to attend that. But again, 650. And my God, Van Miller has 4,000 people subscribing to his newsletter. He could send it out and take all 650 seats. So be careful. Be careful. Any questions? Those are my 2 self-serving things. I have 3 books: The Explanation of Services, Turning Clients into Advocates. It's Easier Than You Think. And again, the book about the right questions of asking of our financial professionals. The only one that's real close to being done right now is the EOS book. All 3 will be done before February of next year.
So if we have ideas for the newsletter, would that go to the info@thebreakawayleague.com?
Absolutely. You also could hound Kinder. He loves that crap.
I'll wear him out enough as it is. If you can see the little bubble over here, that's Kindler right there. YouTube, that is all Kindler.
I have enough of a fan base / harassment club. I don't need any more.
Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah, you do. So this coming newsletter for June, I'm going to be talking about Fidelity opening it up and the DOL trying to limit crypto, and also going into much more depth about this. Every time your money doubles in an IRA, your broker makes more than you do, and your government makes more than you do, which is the exact opposite of what we've been allowed to share. And again, any other subject, if you've got an idea, you can send it to me. I'd love to.
Throw in Romney's $100 million IRA into that, and why the government's complaining about how large it is, even though they'll be the biggest primary beneficiary.
Well, it's a soundbite, because they're going after people that are wealthy, and they don't look at the implications of what the government's going to get a hell of a lot of money on this. You know, people forget when Steinbrenner died and there was no estate tax, right? And they said, boy, did he pick the right year to die. No, he didn't, because there was no stepped up basis that year. Everything had an income tax basis on it. So while, yes, he did not have to worry about an estate tax, there was an income tax that was equally as damaging as the estate tax would have been. But again, we don't hear stuff like that. We hear what the media wants us to hear. And usually it's slanted or tainted. My job is to just say, look, this is what it is. And if you disagree with me, I'm okay with that. I've got my opinion, and it's backed by what I believe. And you're entitled to what you believe, which is why I'm never going to complain. You know, if David's an IUL guy, awesome. Wonderful. You know, and I was into this business very young on. There were people in my agency that I thought were complete idiots. I would never have bought from them, yet they were successful. So they had a group of people they could talk to. I wouldn't want any of their clients. But everyone needs to hear the story. I'm not the best for everybody either. I recognize I rub people the wrong way a lot of times. Okay, I don't want to be everything to everybody. But what I do want to do is I want to find out if you believe what I believe, because if you do, we're going to have a wonderful relationship. And if you don't, I don't want to fight with you every time the phone rings and I look at caller ID and I go, crap, it's you. What do you want this time? I don't want that. Okay. I want to thank you guys. Every 2 weeks, we're going to be doing this now. So if you've got some ideas on what you want for this topic, even for, talk at the table, I'd love to have that so I could prepare for it as well. This is all about you guys and ladies and giving back. So I hope some of the things we talked about today you can actually go out in the field and use, because that's really what my purpose is today. All righty.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. See you later. Bye-bye.